We have sound. Sound has speed.
Check.
Sound has speed. Rolling. Check the gate.
There we go. Okay.
All right, there we go.
BeastMasters Club, experiencing the world's finest whiskey, one bottle at a time.
Welcome to another episode of BeastMasters Club podcast. I'm your host, Steve.
Hey, and I'm Ben.
And if it's your first time listening, our little show, BeastMasters Club, is the first podcast of its kind that lets you order awesome whiskey from home and then listen to us as we do tastings and reviews and meet cool folks from the whiskey industry.
Yeah, we offer private barrels that we select that you can buy on our website. And each time we put out a new barrel, we have a premiere event where we have someone who was involved in the making of the whiskey, a master distiller, someone of that ilk who comes in to chat about it at our tasting/premiere events. And we record those live for a podcast. So you guys at home can order the bottle and play along with us.
And what am I holding in my hand but a brand new barrel?
Heyo!
I'm going to have to dub in a real air horn. But I think this is going to be a new tradition that when we get a barrel, Ben and I sit down, pop it open, and do a little review. So buckle up.
Yeah, we're psyched about our latest pick. It is from WhistlePig, and it is a 12-year aged rye. I think WhistlePig just found their new sound intro for any videos and commercials.
And I'm popping it right now.
That's a weak pop, but it was a pop nonetheless. We'll enhance that with an artificial pop
sound.
sound.
In a giant pop sound.
We got a whole Foley department here at BeastMasters Club that just makes dumb sounds. We've got a guy who just farts, and we record that. We use fart sound.
Well, I'm really pumped to have this barrel because we've been wanting to do a rye for a while. And when we heard that WhistlePig had a 12-year American Rye, we were like, fuck yeah, let's get some shit for our peeps.
We do love some aged rye up in the BeastMasters Club. That is our thing.
Cheers.
Cheers.
No, that was better.
Woo!
That's not easy. Try it.
No.
Yeah, not nearly as good.
You already had me laughing. Yeah. All right. Well, Steve will be the
expert.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, here's some WhistlePig. So,
yeah. So we got this. This is a 12-year aged American rye. It was made at MGP in Indiana, distilled there, and I think at some point it was acquired by Dave Pickerel, who is the master distiller at WhistlePig. And Dave brought in a bunch of this 12-year MGP. It probably was 9 years when he acquired it a few years ago to launch into. He was trying to figure out how to do a barrel program and what they were going to do. And he wanted to do something with this rye. So I think Steve knows the story a little better than I do, so I'll let him tell it.
Sure. I'm just so happy to be holding it here. It's got our little BeastMasters Club logo on. Well, title on the side.
Yeah, it says BeastMasters
Club. Private barrels are so sweet. I mean, you know, just in case, I mean, I guess most of our crowd knows, but you know, you buy a barrel, you get to choose, you know, which barrel or batch you want, and then they bottle it for you, and you get your sweet little label on there, and you get like a release that's only available to you, and so it's I just love holding a new proprietary barrel. It's so sweet.
Yeah, it's also just like it's great to know that everything that you got was specifically selected. The distillers will put a bunch of samples of different barrels in front of you, some stuff that they pull out of each barrel and track. They set those barrels aside until you make a decision, basically. And you're picking just the juice that comes out of one particular barrel that you select. You say, we want this one. And they pour all of that barrel into a bunch of bottles and ship it to you, which is amazing because it's unadulterated, just straight from the barrel. Yeah.
Well, in this case, it's sort of less cool and sort of more cool because we don't get one specific barrel, but we get to take 3 different barrel finishes and kind of pick our own blend, which is kind of sweet. I had a good time doing it. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's something that's not really offered out there. So, what Steve, you should tell the folks at home the story behind how this evolved and what WhistlePig's doing with this.
Right. So Dave Pickerel is like kind of a legend. He's kind of a bigwig in the whiskey biz. He ran Maker's Mark for like 15 years. He's a cool dude. He was in the Army. He's a chemical engineer. He's a smart dude.
He went to West Point.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
yes.
And so yeah, he started at I think he was like the rep for some kind of industrial engineering type of consultant to
Distilleries.
To Maker's Mark, and then he got hired to kind of run like one facility, and then he was eventually their master distiller. And then once he left Maker's Mark, he's been just like a crazy force behind the craft industry. I mean, he's built. It seems like every craft brand you hear about, like Few and Garrison Brothers and WhistlePig and Corsair, and I mean, you look at his site, Hill Rock. I mean, Hill Rock's sort of his baby. Just all across the country, it's like the guy's on a plane every day, just like starting up a new craft thing, and it's cool. He just felt like he could take all of his kind of scientific knowledge and expertise and skills and just kind of help this whole new whiskey revolution kind of start. So I thought that was super cool. But at WhistlePig, yeah, I mean, he wanted to do, they've been winning all these awards for this kind of source Canadian rye, but he wanted to do this bespoke barrel program. So he got his hands on a bunch of this American rye, which I could speak for both of us. We prefer to the Canadian rye. And he decided to do something different. So he was, he had all this knowledge from the Scotch malt whiskey industry about quote unquote old world finishes, which is like reusing sherry casks and different kinds of wine casks to further age malt whiskey. And so he wanted to do kind of an old world cask finish for an American rye, which is really not that well. I mean, nobody's really doing it. There's a few, but they're not really great. And this one's in a whole different league. So he. The story is like he locked himself away in a barn for a few days. By the way, we're going to interview Dave at our event in March, so we'll get the story from the horse's mouth. But basically locked himself away for a few days, came up with this concept that he was going to do these old world finishes, tagged like a whole bunch of MGP barrels of kind of nicely aged rye. Wow, you can hear. See, this is what we get for recording in New York. It's like sirens and
just a little fire engine action. Pay no attention.
They found Ben's stash.
They're coming for us, bro. Hide that shit.
And then he like put together a panel of like his 500 best like mixologists and bartenders and whiskey people, and did like focus groups and did all this stuff. And he basically boiled it down to like these different finishes. And his favorite were like Madeira, port, and Sauternes. And so they released these individually, and they won even more awards. The Sauternes won, I think, double gold in San Francisco and stuff like that.
Right. So they put out each individual cask finish to the public.
And then in the old world, they did a marriage of his three favorites, and they released that. And then for the private barrel program, they sort of let each barrel picker choose their blend. So I think you really liked especially the kind of Madeira finish.
Yeah, I thought that the Madeira really complements the rye well, and Madeira had the flavor profile for whatever reason just seems to match nicely with the spiciness of the rye. And when they marry together, it seemed to me that the way Dave Pickerel had done these in the casks, they didn't overwhelm the rye. They were much more subtle than most sort of barrel finishes that are out there in these same veins, and they were picked well to enhance and accentuate what you love about rye. So for me, especially the high Madeira blends were what I thought really brought out the nice spicy smoothness of this 12-year rye.
Totally.
So our blend, the blend that we pick, ours is 80% Madeira finished, 10% Sauternes finished, 10% port finished.
Right. So a lot less of the sweeter wines and a lot more of that full flavored kind of spicy,
full-flavored, dry, nutty, spicy notes from the Madeira rather than like that we didn't really dig the more syrupy sweet tones.
That was kind of cool for like a dessert sipper, but not like for a whole barrel. Right. I mean, I just wanted the good. I felt like that. Yeah, just like you said it really well. The Madeira and the rye, it wasn't banging against each other. It felt really nice and made sense together. But this thing, I mean, it's got a beautiful color on it. It's
really nice caramel,
dark caramel copper kind of color. I mean, the nose. I don't know that I would even know that it was wine finished.
No,
it's very rye forward
and a beautiful rye on the nose.
Yeah, the nose is killer. I mean, it really the finishing almost just takes away a little bit of the of the bite,
The sting,
and it just gives it this little more sweetness, but it still has all that spicy tone, and the nose is a knockout.
You get on the nose, you get a lot of deep baking spices, cinnamon, nutmeg, all of that stuff going on in there, and you get a nice like sort of a little bit of the Madeira, I guess. If no one told you it was in there, you wouldn't even know that it was there. But you because we know it's there, I kind of can pick up a little bit of it in the nose. And just it just smells like a super tasty rye. Like you want to dive in there.
On the palate, you definitely can taste the sweetness and the different kind of wine flavors. But on the nose, I don't know that I would completely pick it out.
No.
It's a really nice drinker.
Super smooth sipper. Like you could just swill away on this all day. You would not be disappointed. And I feel like if you're just hanging out, you have some good friends over, you want to serve up a really good sipping whiskey.
Oh man,
this is perfect. Unfortunately, for whatever, like it's proof down.
Yeah, I was gonna say
we don't really love the proof down.
10 points higher. It's 86 proof. If it was 100, that'd be a little cooler. But
it's a great sipper nonetheless, and it is extremely smooth. I mean, yes, it's proof down, and that has something to do with it, but I mean, you can just drink this like a soft drink almost. It's that smooth.
I mean, I love rye, and where else are you going to get a 12-year rye? It doesn't even exist.
Very hard
American
to find.
rye. The Canadian ryes you can get a little older, but I'm just not as crazy about them. And and I mean, I'm just so excited. I mean, our whole plan here with BeastMasters was like, we just to give people a little history. I think we kind of talked about this a little bit before, but we had this private club. Dana and I, my wife and I, had been writing the blog. Ben came to us and said, some of the guys really want to taste some of the stuff, so we did this private club with the guys. And then I think you were really the one pressuring me to do a podcast. And I was like, I don't know. Does anybody really want to hear us sip on booze? And it's just, I don't know. Ben had to, he had to twist my arm a little bit.
Well, it's true. I think you were right in that at first, because of Smoky Beast and you had a great following going on, and I thought that it would translate really well to a podcast because, we can taste the whiskeys, talk about them, kind of do the review thing, but in a more of like an interviewee format or just, on the radio, so to speak.
Right.
But
I was a little hesitant.
But you were right. You were absolutely right to say, like, who the hell just wants to listen to us drink good whiskey that they can't touch?
That they can't get,
Right. And
listen to us describe it, and
then one day we were talking about this, and you just kind of sparked this idea. You were like, what if we got barrels and like put them online for sale and did the podcast about the barrel with the people who made
and then
the whiskey.
Brought the people who made the whiskey. We got to give a shout out to Jim Parisi from Xavier, who had the idea of doing the live event recording format.
Yep.
And then I don't know if it was me, but we all kind of collectively came up with that idea of, you and me, of selling the bottles and then bringing the people in. And I feel like this one is like, I mean, we've had some great ones, right? Like Chris from Westland was amazing. Joe from Barrel Bourbon was super cool. But I think this is our first like bona fide master distiller coming in.
Yeah, we have Dave Pickrell coming in on March 16th. We're having an event here in New York City to premiere our barrel of WhistlePig Old World 12-year rye.
Yeah, and not only that, but we convinced them, which is totally unique and will never be done anywhere else, to bring in all the component parts, like the pure Madeira cask, the pure Sauternes cask, and the pure port cask, which was not that easy.
So it's going to be a really special event. They haven't put those out really anywhere since I think they
limited
had them
release.
Since they limited release them.
Yeah. And I don't know if they did the Sauternes. I don't know if they did the port.
Okay.
But I mean, I doubt anybody's lined up all three, tasted them individually, and then blend,
seen what the blend is.
And with Dave, I mean, this is like the fruition of all.
So we're going to get to talk to the man himself about his idea, and we're going to get to go through the whole process of how he arrived at this kind of conclusion for the private barrel program.
Totally.
And we're super psyched about it, and hopefully, I think there's still some tickets left. So if you're hearing this and you would like to attend and you're anywhere in the New York area, go to our BeastMastersClub.com site and you can find tickets in the shop. We also have a BeastMastersClub.com/WhistlePig, which has all the details.
You can buy the bottle. You can buy a ticket, and if you buy the bottle, you get a free ticket, which is like I don't even know how crazy we are.
If you buy a bottle of this rye, you can come to the event for free, meet Dave Pickerel, hang out, taste through the individual finishes of the port, Sauternes, and Madeira,
and
which
our
we're going to taste, and our blend. And I think WhistlePig generously is also going to bring their 15-year rye.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, that's just to charge $40 for that is a little
40,
crazy, but to give it away with the bottle, I mean, I don't know.
We're stupid, but you should take advantage of us, right?
And I mean, and to have Dave there, I mean, it's just so cool. And
we're super psyched. And we're like, just not to toot our own horn, but we've got a bunch of awesome podcasts lined up for the future, interviews and people that we're doing. We're literally doing this podcast and then leaving in a few days to go to Kentucky. Yeah, we're going down to Kentucky next week. We're going to be picking 2 barrels down there, one at Four Roses and one at Wild Turkey. We're going to get a barrel of Russell's Reserve.
Yeah, and bourbon. We're sitting down with Eddie Russell and picking the barrel.
Yep.
And we're hopefully love Wild Turkey. I mean, Wild Turkey. Come on, I'm drinking that shit since I was drinking anything.
I think at 16, I thought I was a bad motherfucker because I sat in a bar and ordered a Wild Turkey 101. Like I thought I was somebody.
and that Wild Turkey 101 back then was like, you know, it was
I thought it was like
burning, like crazy high proof,
impossibly bad.
Yeah. And now it's like if you had a 1990 Wild Turkey 101, it would be like probably worth $800 or something.
Oh yeah, it's a $1,000 bottle.
But yeah, we're taking some of our BeastMasters down to KY. We're gonna go to. I think we might do a tour of the new Michter's distillery.
We're gonna go check out Michter's. They have
a brand new distillery, and then we're doing a crazy event with Michter's in April. It's gonna be real sweet. Their master distiller Pam's coming down.
Pam Heilman, she's gonna be one of our guest hosts at an event with Michter's in April. That one should be really cool. So we're doing a whole throwdown next week in Kentucky.
And then Four Roses, hopefully with either Brent or Al down there, and then Wild Turkey with Eddie. I mean, it's like I'm so pumped about that.
Yeah,
we just got this barrel, and we're going down to buy 2 more. It's like
all you whiskey freaks, stay tuned because we're bringing some heat.
Yeah,
heat in the barrel and heat on the air.
And then, like, as soon as we get back, we're also getting a barrel of Heaven Hill of Elijah Craig, and we're going to sit down with really fun dude Bernie Lubbers, who's like the main brand guy from Heaven Hill.
Yeah, he's like Mr. Bottled and Bond.
Bottled and Bond. Yeah, he's got a big Bottled and Bond tattoo.
And hopefully we can get into this year. I was just poking around. This year is the 120th anniversary of the Bottled and Bond Act.
Oh, is that right?
So yeah, the Bottled and Bond Act was in 1897. Where they actually laid out the requirements. It's like I think it's one of the very few like actually legally documented American standards for any kind of product, any kind of food or beverage product. Like we don't really do a lot of what Europeans do in terms of classifying and legally, I guess authenticating that kind of stuff. But
I think Brown-Forman was one of the original Bottled and Bond companies, and it was sort of around. Like a measure of quality, I think pre-prohibition, that was like there was a lot of whiskey coming down the river in God knows what in barrels, and it was all different kinds of quality.
There was a lot of filth being sold in the 1800s as whiskey.
You had to disclose the distillery, where it was from, the age, and it has to be exactly 100 proof. And
it had
was
to be
like
at least,
new,
I think it was that, it had to be 50% alcohol.
Right. They're 100 proof. And you have to disclose, like, it all has to be from one distillation batch, and you have to say when that batch was and where it was made. So it's been a great measure of quality. And 100 proof is just beautiful. It's just like the perfect proof. Maybe a little higher, but like 100 proof, it's going to be pretty bold.
It's
and
on
nice.
point.
It's there.
I think that in the 1800s. There were definitely a lot of stuff, especially west of the Mississippi, being sold as quote whiskey that was like turpentine
just
with
make you go blind.
Like, somebody put a little shit in and like made brown or something.
Right.
Like who the hell knows?
I'm drinking here, Ben.
Hey, it's just I tell it like it is, baby. But really,
so we're doing Four Roses and Wild Turkey and Elijah Craig. Doing a Four Roses podcast, doing Eddie Russell, doing the podcast with Pam from Michter's, Bernie Lubbers from Heaven Hill. It's like it's all coming together. I'm really pumped.
We're psyched, and like for all of you guys who have been following us and kind of sticking with us through our early fits and starts, like we really appreciate you guys.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you so much for turning out at the events. The events have been excellent. And really, you guys make them special just for turning out and like being a part of this. Like, without you, like, we see this as a club. We really do believe in that idea. It's not a gimmick for us. It's not like us trying to tell you you're a member of something that doesn't really exist. We really love to see everybody, and I think there's like a very cool camaraderie that's developing.
Yeah.
I see a lot of faces over and over at the events, and for you guys who are patronizing and coming out and buying, like, we really appreciate it, and we're very thankful, and we like meeting you
so much.
Like,
I
so,
mean,
like,
meeting
really
people,
come out.
people
Like,
come
we
out
love
to the events
see
and
it.
just written us letters and done reviews. Like, if you want to support us and can do a review on iTunes, that's huge. That's how people find us. But I mean, we've gotten letters from all over the country. We got a letter from a guy who's in the Air Force who listened to the podcast when he was deployed, and like and there was a guy who, another guy who like can't, he lives in a dry county somewhere and he can't get booze, and like just so many cool people that I think were reading the blog and for years, and it's just kind of been a forum for them to get in touch with us, and it's just super cool. And
we've had some like folks of all stripes just kind of write in and bring things up, and like we get a very cool and weirdly diverse crowd at our events. Like it's really fun for me, at least, to see, and I think for both of us, to see who shows up at these things and why. And it's a whole smattering and weird cross section of folks who are into this stuff. And like, we didn't know we would put it out there, but it's great to meet the people, and like, I think for the people to meet each other and like and try to build this community, which is I think going well. And we've seen a lot of relationships get forged even just in the limited few months that we've been doing this.
It's cool. We have some of our real OG guys that were back in our little private club, like Jeff and Keith and Jake and Greg and whoever, like guys that are just everywhere. With then like, thank you guys, it's amazing. They just, everything we do, they show up, and that's just so awesome. And then a bunch of new people who just find us and show up, and like a bunch of people now have become regulars, and like
catch on,
Igor and a bunch of these guys that that just like it's cool, man. So it's a really fun vibe, and nobody's like a lot of the stuff with whiskey, it's just kind of snooty, or people want to prove something, or they're technical, or like they're talking about all this stuff, and we just, I don't know. For me, it's like I'm only enjoying whiskey if we can drink it and just relax and talk about our lives and listen to music and have fun, and like.
Well, I think like we always talked about, which was why we started the private BeastMasters, was that the thing for me is that the people who make this and who have historically always made this, they make it as a thing that you drink to like have a good time.
Yeah, they never meant it to be collected and put on a pedestal and talked about. No, and tasting notes and all that stuff. It was like,
so behind everything, I feel like should be a good time. Like it should be a party atmosphere. It doesn't have to be a party in terms of like a fraternity party where like people are throwing fucking kegs off a balcony, but it should.
Had a couple
if it goes that way, it goes that way. But I mean,
a couple wild nights, Tim.
but I mean, it should be fun, and I think when we drink whiskey in the context of fun and having a good time and hanging out with friends and sharing experience, it's much better.
And I like learning something. I just, I like that we've kept it not like a super snooty tasting note club, and that we've not gotten into the business side of things and the industry stuff and all that stuff.
That's not our thing.
We like to get to know the people and who they are. Anyway, we've talked enough about us talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some really cool stuff coming up.
Right. So March 16th, we're doing the WhistlePig event here in New York. If you're listening, you can still buy tickets for that at beastmastersclub.com/whistlepig. We are going down to Kentucky. We have some really cool things coming up. Stay tuned for more events. We're going to be announcing them shortly. Hopefully before even this next event, we should be able to announce the one after. And we're going to keep them coming.
Yeah. One a month. And
I think the first barrel that we're going to put out after this WhistlePig will probably be Elijah Craig.
Probably Elijah Craig. Think like 2 months or so.
Right.
For Elijah Craig.
And for all
I'm
you
really
bargain
about
hunters.
That. I mean, Elijah Craig,
right.
Oh,
for all you bargain hunters, we're looking at like what?
Under
probably
$40 or something.
$40 at the most
bottle.
price tag.
And
for
that was
a barrel.
That was one where, I mean, there was a clear winner. Like we tasted 4 different barrels, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the one. And that's always a good sign when you get that sort of clear victor in the barrel pick. So that's really cool.
There's usually a clear winner when we taste. I mean, we have similar tastes.
Yeah.
So we're usually like, oh yeah, it's obviously number 2 or whatever.
Right.
So
right. And I think it's a 9-year Elijah Craig. And then I'm excited to pick. We're gonna be doing some like on the road live podcasting too down in Kentucky. We'll try and kind of document the trip. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, we're gonna do like maybe podcast from a plane, podcast from a car. We'll do some interviews down there
with Michters.
Yeah, with Eddie Russell, with maybe do a little
Brent
something at Michters. We're trying to interview some folks out at Four Roses with Brent and who's the other Al.
Yeah, Brett's the distiller and Al's the manager. But but anyway, I'm really pumped about this rye. I mean, I'm on my second. I think we're both on our second glass now.
Hell yeah!
The palates, it gets a little of that wine. It's really rich and nice. The finish is still spicy, and even though we tasted the 10-year, which was the higher proof one. I thought this was much better.
The 10 years Canadian
one, right? Yeah.
And honestly, for us, I think we really felt like this 12-year MGP stuff, done Dave Pickerel style, really is a winner.
Yeah.
And like I would just say, don't fuck around. Like if you want to pony up, like get on the site and get a bottle and taste for yourself. You can order it now, and probably before the 20th, let's say, of March, the podcast interview with Dave Pickerel from our event, where we actually premiere the barrel and we go through the actual individual barrel finishes of Madeira, Port, and Sauternes, and then taste ours, and then taste the 15-year for a big comparison of WhistlePig.
That's the way to do it.
It's
going to
be out.
You can pop that bottle open while you listen along.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can have a sip beforehand, but then you can also sip along with us.
And if you want, email us or go on Facebook and post a question, and we'll ask Dave. And you can literally drink the whiskey, and we'll ask Dave your question. And,
hell yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
yeah. So like, hit us up. We're on the Instagram, the Twitter, the Facebook. We're all I think at BeastMasters Club. So email is readily available on the site. Just figure it out. There's 100,000 ways to get in touch with us.
BeastMasters Club.
Yeah, so please get in touch.
Hashtag.
We actually really love to get feedback from everybody, and we're pretty responsive. So,
and honestly, we need questions to ask Dave, because this guy's like a legend, and I'm going to be like, so how did you get started in whiskey? Like, we got to get some good shit to ask him. So if anybody like knows anything funny or whatever,
and he's been interviewed a number of times. So you hear it, and basically every interview is the exact same thing, because he's just telling his life story, and those details are well known. So hopefully we can get into some other stuff. So if there are interesting angles or things you want to know, let us know, and we will pass it along.
Sweet. Is that it for now?
Yeah, all right. Buy that WhistlePig 12-year old world cask finished rye, and
it's
get
kind
in
of
there.
A mouthful. Let's see.
There's a lot of qualifiers on this, but it is
WhistlePig Old
excellent.
World Cask Finished Bespoke Blend BeastMasters Club Private Selection.
Yes, that's a lot.
Easy.
But it may have a lot of qualifiers, but it is a really excellent dram.
We done good.
Yeah, don't fuck around. Get some. On that note,
sweet.
We love you. Thank you.
We'll talk to you from the Bluegrass Highway.
Cheers.
Peace.